Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there lived two adorable siblings named Hansel and Gretel. They were very young when their mother, who used to tell them children's stories all the time, passed away. After her, their father, who lived alone with them in a cottage near the forest, struggled to make a living, trying to balance both his work as a woodcutter and taking care of his children. Their father remarried a few years later. The new wife of the woodcutter came from a wealthy family and despised living in the run-down cottage near the forest and the hardship of their life. Moreover, she had no love for her stepchildren, Hansel and Gretel. One bitterly cold winter night, as they prepared to sleep, Hansel and Gretel overheard their stepmother telling their father that they would starve if they didn't get rid of these children. Their father vehemently opposed the idea, but his wife said, "There's no need for arguments. I've made up my mind. Tomorrow, we will take them into the forest and leave them there." Upon hearing this, Gretel burst into tears. Her brother Hansel tried to comfort her, saying, "Please don't worry, Gretel. We'll find our way back home somehow." That night, Hansel secretly filled his pockets with pebbles. The next morning, the family set out toward the forest, and their father claimed they were going for a walk. As they walked, Hansel discreetly dropped the pebbles on the ground, marking the path they followed. In the afternoon, their father and stepmother lit a fire and told the children they would return shortly, then left them behind and never came back. Nightfall brought eerie sounds of forest creatures, with wolves howling in the distance. Hansel and Gretel, trembling with fear, didn't leave the fire's side until the moon rose. They followed the shining pebbles to find their way back home. When they arrived home, their father was overjoyed to see them unexpectedly. Their stepmother, however, pretended to be happy but secretly resented their return. 3 days later, the stepmother proposed trying to get rid of them once more. She locked the door that night, preventing Hansel from collecting more pebbles. However, Hansel was a clever boy. During their walk into the forest, he dropped breadcrumbs instead of pebbles to mark the way. By noon, their father and stepmother concocted another excuse and left the children in the forest once again. But this time, Hansel and Gretel wanted to return home before dark. To their dismay, they couldn't find the breadcrumb trail as birds had eaten them all. Gretel began to cry, and Hansel, feeling hopeless for the first time, realized they were truly lost. For 3 days and 3 nights, they wandered in the forest with empty stomachs and trembling with fear. On the 3rd day, they spotted a pure white bird perched on a tree branch. The bird sang beautiful songs, captivating the hungry children, who decided to follow it. The bird led them to a peculiar house on the edge of the forest. The house had walls made of bread, a roof of cake, and windows of sugar. Every inch of the house was adorned with colorful candies. Hansel and Gretel couldn't believe their eyes. The house looked delicious. All their weariness disappeared as they indulged in the sight. But suddenly, a voice came from inside the house. To their astonishment, they realized it was an old witch, who had cleverly built the house out of bread and cake to lure children into her trap. When the children told the witch their story, she pretended to be sympathetic, but she actually wanted to fatten Hansel up. Hansel, although frightened, was quick-witted. He fooled the nearsighted witch by showing her a bone from the cage while Gretel prepared a meal for the day. The witch, thinking Hansel was still too thin, grew impatient and decided to eat him anyway. Gretel, seeing the witch's intentions, cried, "I don't know how to check the oven. Please show me how." The witch, annoyed, shoved Gretel aside and bent over to check the oven. Seizing the opportunity, Gretel pushed the witch into the oven and slammed the door shut. With the witch gone, Gretel found the keys and released Hansel from the cage. As they made their escape, they discovered a chest filled with gold and precious jewels in the house. Taking the treasure with them, they left the burning house behind. When they reached home, their father was overjoyed to see them. He explained that he had searched for them tirelessly in the forest but couldn't find them. The family's troubles were over, and they lived happily ever after, surrounded by wealth and happiness. Once upon a time, in a small town, there were two siblings named Eliza and Max. Eliza was the older and responsible one, while Max was a younger, cheerful, and sometimes a troublemaker. One day, while playing at home, Max accidentally broke Eliza's favorite music box. Eliza immediately got angry and started yelling at her brother. "Max, what have you done? You broke my music box. You are so careless," she said. Max, with tears in his eyes, asked, "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. How can I make it up to you?" Eliza was still upset. "There's nothing you can do. There's no way to fix my music box. I won't play with you ever again," she declared as she stormed into her room. Max, feeling sad, collected the broken music box and showed it to their mother. Their mother decided to help Max. After some time, she got Max a new music box and went to Eliza with it. Eliza was surprised when she saw the new music box. This is just like my old one," she said. Her mother smiled and said, "Yes, we got this music box to replace your old one. Max had an accident, and he's really sorry. How about making up with him?" Eliza sobbed for a moment and then turned to Max. "Okay, I will give you another chance. But don't ever do something like this again, okay?" Max happily ran to his sister. "Okay, I promise I'll never do it again." The argument between the two siblings was over, and Eliza and Max started playing together with the new music box. This incident taught them how to solve problems and how important their bond as siblings was. As they continued to spend time together, their sibling love grew even stronger.